Hello and welcome to a DITV Sports Update. I'm Mike Wolin, this kid right here, Jason Ebner, and we're about to pick the Big Ten brackets.
Well, let's get right to it, Mike, and we'll start with Thursday's game. Number 8, Penn State, and number 9, Northwestern will both agree and take the Wildcats on this one. Northwestern has lost twice to Penn State this year, but I just don't see them losing a third time to the Nittany Lions. Ed DeChellis got a great season out of his young team. They've doubled the win total from last year with guys like potential Freshman of the Year, Jamel Cornley. But the Big Ten's leading scorer, Vedran Vukovic, is going to have a big game. He's going to create matchup problems. Northwestern walks away a winner.
Next, Jason, we have the game that all Hawkeye fans will have their eyes on. Number 7, Michigan versus number 10, Minnesota. I think Michigan comes out on top. Daniel Horton, Deion Harris are absolutely lethal from outside. Plus, Minnesota, they're not as good away from the barn. I think Michigan finishes a 3-game sweep of the Gophers on the season.
And then Thursday's final game, Mike, Michigan State and Purdue. I'm not even going to waste my breath on this. Michigan State is just too talented for a not very good Boilermaker team. The Spartans spank Purdue.
So we advance to Friday, first game of the day. Number 1, Ohio State versus Northwestern. Ohio State leads the Big Ten in scoring offense. Terrence Dials is a threat inside, and he's able to kick it outside to their guards who shoot the three very well. Northwestern has the league's worst scoring offense. Buckeyes roll on.
All right, let's go to Wisconsin and Indiana. Should be a pretty even game. We've agreed up to this point. I think, Mike, you and I are going to be in agreement again. Indiana hit a slump this year in February where they lost 5 in a row. Marco Killingsworth at that time wasn't playing very well. He was struggling. But ever since Mike Davis announced his resignation, this team has been on a mission. They've won 4 in a row. That includes a win at home against Michigan State and one at Michigan, a tough place to play. I think Indiana avenges their blowout loss to the Badgers earlier this year.
You know, I agree, Jason. And now we come to the big game. Hawks and the Wolverines. Iowa wins this one hands down.
That's
we know how good the Hawks are at home, but we don't know how good they are on the road. They've struggled thus far. So at a neutral court, I think they're going to play some good ball. It won't be a 94-66 win this time, but if Iowa gets contributions from guys like Freeman and Henderson, Michigan will have their hands full. Plus, Adam Haleska looks to be back on track after a good game at Wisconsin. A solid game from him will have the Hawks on their way. Iowa just needs to make sure they can contain the Wolverine shooters.
All right, let's go to Michigan State and Illinois. And I think the Spartans finally get the better of the Illini. You have to understand, in the 10 years Coach Izzo has been with the Spartans, Mike, they've gone to 3 Final Fours and won a national championship once. They returned 4 starters from last year's Final Four team. This is a team that has underachieved all year. I think Izzo will have them playing the ball that they're capable of. D. Brown scorched the Spartans in the first 2 meetings when Illinois won. It won't happen again. Michigan State is too good of a team to let D. Brown beat them 3 times.
Now, Jason, we move to Saturday's games. Here we go. Ohio State and Indiana. Well, Thad Matta has been Coach of the Year in the Big Ten, and I think his coaching job continues. Indiana and Ohio State are kind of built similarly. They use big man to set up their outside shot, but Ohio State has better shooters in Jaquel Foster and Ron Lewis who add a slashing element, and to then Matt Sylvester who can shoot it off the bench. Buckeyes roll on.
All right, well, finally I think we come to disagreement because we've agreed so far, but I just think Michigan State is going to get hot right about now. The Hawkeyes are away from home, and I'm afraid they just won't play with that same type of energy. Again, I think on paper, Michigan State is the most talented team in the conference, even though they finished at 500 and 6 in the conference. Maurice Ager will bring his A game. Don't forget, he averaged a quiet 19 points a game, which actually was second in the Big Ten. Shannon Brown and point guard Drew Neitzel, when he decides to shoot it, also provides some offense. And of course, don't forget the very overrated Paul Davis, especially as Sports Illustrated says, who's still a presence inside in spite of getting too much hype. I hate to say it, but I think the Hawkeye run ends right here.
Hey, Jay, are you done yet, man? Because I've heard about enough. I couldn't disagree with you more. Iowa wins this one because they are the senior-led team that has traditionally played well in the Big Ten tournament. Don't forget they knocked off State last year in the tournament. Hawkeyes roll on to Sunday.
Wow, you sound like you had a little anger behind that. All right, well, that's all right. Let's go to Championship Sunday, Mike. Unfortunately, I don't have the Hawkeyes there, but I will have Michigan State, and I sound like I'm a Spartan fan, but I think they do go on to beat Ohio State. We've pretty much broken down each team, so you as well as our audience knows how I feel. Even though some of the Spartans' depth was hurt when Maurice Gray went down a couple of weeks ago with an injury, I think the Spartans are a better team and will use this Big Ten tournament to finally play up to their potential.
and I am going to make a ton of friends out there, hopefully. I'm going to pick the Hawkeyes because I am a homer. No, that's not why. Iowa has the experience. They have showed that they can play well on a neutral court earlier this year by beating Kentucky, and then they played a tough game against Texas's Rick Barnes' Longhorns. Iowa wins the Big Ten tournament. They get the number 2 seed in the tournament, and all Hawkeye fans go crazy.
You're such a homer, you know that? But you know what? Going into that Illinois game, I had picked Iowa to beat Illinois. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But, I was called a homer then, so I understand.
Jay, I feel confident in this team's ability to do well in tournaments. They proved it in previous Big Ten tournaments, and I just look for good things coming from them.
Hey, despite what I said, I'm actually a Hawkeye fan, not a Michigan State Spartan fan. I do want the Hawkeyes to win. I hope you're right. I really do.
Well, he's Jay Epner. I'm Mike Woolen, and this has been a DITV Sports Update.